it is just incredible that the whole world doesn't say, stop, full stop, nothing. We're not talking about anything. You guys give back the hostages, and then we'll talk about having either fighting the war or having some sort of a ceasefire.
Well, welcome. My name is Jeff, and it's great to have you with us on the Keeping It Israel podcast today. My guest today is a returning guest, a good friend of First Century Foundation's, Gidon Ariel. And just remind you, Gidon is the founder and CEO of Root Source, an organization dedicated to promoting respectful relationships between Christians and Jews. Root Source brings knowledgeable Israeli teachers and curious Christians together to study the Jewish texts and concepts that are foundational to each of their faiths. Gidon is also a former officer in the IDF spokespersons unit who speaks to us from his home near Hebron in Judea and Samaria. Gidon, welcome back to the podcast today.
Jeff, it's a pleasure to be here, as always.
Well, we love having you, and this is a great opportunity for us to just get caught up a little bit. We haven't chatted in quite some time. First of all, how are you and your family doing?
We're doing fine. Thank you very, very much. We are, my wife and I have almost an empty nest. My youngest daughter still lives with us. She's 20, I think, maybe 21. But my middle three kids are all married. And they all have a couple of kids themselves, and we're expecting a few more in November, so we're all pretty happy.
Nice, a few more. That's really great to get a few all at once. We love our grandkids, and we were empty nesters for a while, but sometimes they circle back, and so we have one. We have one with us right now, and but it's great to get that update now. I mentioned earlier you live in Hebron in Judea and Samaria. Remind our viewers about sort of that situation and why that location in Israel is so significant, especially for you as a Jewish person.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, Judea and Samaria, interestingly enough, is the original name of this region. And what's interesting about it is that phrase came from none other than the New Testament. And no less than the Great Commission itself. I do believe you're better than that than I am, I'm sure, about how Jesus said to his followers, take this news, this gospel, and go to Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and the four corners of the earth. Did I leave something out?
You did very well. Matthew 28:19. You got it.
Okay. So which is just incredible, because as far as I'm an Orthodox Jew, and most Orthodox Jews are not very good at the New Testament. But what we are good at is the land of Israel and the Old Testament. And most of the Old Testament took place in Judea and Samaria. I live in Judea. People say Judea and Samaria as if it's one place, like whatever. St. Kitts and Bartholomew or something like that. Judea is the southern part of the what used to be called for a short time the West Bank, and Samaria is the north part. The two of them together are like a backwards B on the map, with Jerusalem in the center, sticking it in almost towards the Jordan River and the Dead Sea, which is the spine, if you will, of that backwards beat. So that area was not liberated. We didn't have that for the mere 19 years between 1948 and 1967. In 1948, Israel won the War of Independence, and some people call it the civil war between the Jews and the Arabs in the land at the time. But in 1967, because we were attacked by Jordan, we rebuffed that attack, and we ended up conquering and liberating all of the area between pretty much Tel Aviv and the Dead Sea. and from Jerusalem down to the Dead Sea as well, and including the old city of Jerusalem. So I live near Hebron, as you said, which is smack in the middle of the bottom part of that B, backwards, capital B, of course. And Hebron itself has about 200,000 Arab residents, and the Jewish part of Hebron has about 10,000 Jewish residents. Where we live in the Mount Hebron region, which together with the Kiryat Arba, which is an actual neighborhood of the city of Hebron, we have about 20,000 Jews. There are more Jews, more Israelis that live north of us in the Gush Etzion area. But that's about what we've got over here. Where I live in my community, my suburb called Ma'aleh Hever, we have about 100 families, which I would say comes out to about 800 residents. Arabs, on the other hand, there are, from what I understand, about 200,000 residents of the municipality of Hebron, and the other Arab places of living here in the southern Hebron Hills area comes out to about 1 million, 1.5 million. So we are, as they say, surrounded. We, on the other hand, ordinarily have a great time. We travel on the roads, and our kids walk around unattended in our neighborhood. And I work from home, but my wife works in Jerusalem, and I'm traveling to Jerusalem as soon as we finish this recording. And we just are having the time of our lives. We're not. You don't have my ordinary background in this video, but I have a picture of my backyard, which is the Judean desert, overlooking the Dead Sea and the hills of Moab in the country of Jordan, just east of here. We're living a dream.
Amazing. Now, you used the word ordinarily. Tell me what it's like to live where you live since October 7th. Has the atmosphere changed? How are your Palestinian Arab neighbors responding?
Okay, two big questions. On October 7th, of course, the whole country went kaplui. It was on a Shabbat, so I was not following things on my phone and the various social media. But right afterwards, things started clamping down a little bit. The army clamped down on Palestinian Arabs all around. So immediately the roads the traffic became thinner. And as far as I can remember, it's been the Palestinian Arabs around here figured out that if they don't want the hard fist of the IDF to come down upon them as they see it's happening in Gaza, then they better sit quietly. And so that's what's happening. In addition, many of the residents here, and of course all of Israel, were conscripted into Miluim, into the Army Reserves, and some of them were stationed in our community. So we had our Minuteman group was augmented by, usually we have about 8 people here who are civilians, but they carry around an automatic weapon, and they do exercises from time to time. But as soon as the war started, there were, like I said, about 20 or 30 reserve soldiers from all over the country and from our own community assigned to our community. And so it was we felt it was very safe as well, and we still do. So I might be painting it a little bit pinker than others might, but what can I say? My home is open. My neighbors' kids are walking around. My own grandchildren are there. The oldest is 5. The youngest, I think, is 2 or 3. And so they come and they walk around, and there's a playground here and a swimming pool, and the little kids, they don't know what's going on. And that's the way, I would say that they're the best clarifiers of what a peaceful place this really is.
Oh, that's great. And I appreciate your upbeat and optimistic approach to life. You said you're painting it a little pinker than some might, but I think it's important that, that we live that way, that we don't always focus on all the negatives. And I certainly appreciate you for that. I mean, many people are watching the media. They see the news. They hear what's happening with regard to the conflict. But what's your sense of what's going on? What's maybe coming in the near future? How are you feeling about all of that?
Okay, the easiest part of that question is how am I feeling about all that? And I'm feeling very positive. I think that we are living under God's blessing. And I think that he brought the Jewish people back to the land of Israel, not to destroy it, but to make it thrive. And that is what I see happening. You've been here to Tel Aviv, where you have, I'm guessing you have more skyscrapers in Tel Aviv than you do in Hamilton or I don't know where, in Canada or in the United States or any places in the world. And we compare to every Western nation, and in some cases are in the top 5 or top 10. I think we're the number 2. We're the number 2 nation in the world that has companies listed on the NASDAQ, for example, besides the United States or something like that. So God has brought us back. He has done the miracle of the ingathering of the exiles that has been prophesied so clearly in virtually every page of the Bible. The miracle of the language of Hebrew has been revived, and my grandchildren speak Hebrew. They pick up a Bible in the original language, and they can read it before they can read a third grade textbook. So it's just incredible what God has wrought in Israel. So I think that things are just going to get better here. I just saw a very short clip of an interview with the former Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, who said Israel is raising its children to not only be smart and capable, but also resilient. And if you compare that to what's going on in other places in the West, Israel, we are basically preparing our children for the next 30 years for success. So Bennett said, and I do agree with him. Again, I'm optimistic that Israel is going to be the leader in virtually every aspect over the next 30 years. So that, as far as what's going to be, that's what I think is going to happen. In the short term, here in Israel, we have a lot of pressure from all over the world. In fact, barring you, Jeff, and your listeners, we have barely any friends. No, I'm just kidding. We have a lot of friends, of course, all over the world, but we have a lot of enemies also. And our enemies are doing a good job of getting other people to stand against us. I think that the media is trying its best to make people further to the left and further to the right wherever they are. And so if people start out as anti-Semites, they can only grow further as anti-Semites. So that's a problem. But we're taking that problem seriously. And of course, the major problem of Hamas in Gaza, we are, I believe, Prime Minister Netanyahu, when he says every single day, we are going to completely disarm and eradicate the threat of Hamas coming from the Gaza Strip. You have to understand, there are kibbutzim, small communities of a few hundred families. We've got about 24 communities like that, plus the city of Sderot, the city of Ofakim, other cities within 5 kilometers of the Gaza Strip. Some of those communities, their backyard is on the fence between Israel and the Gaza Strip. So it is, and of course, I don't want to go into the horrors that happened on October 7th when thousands and thousands of terrorists just came through from the Gaza Strip and killed over 1,000 Jews. And I don't want to get into exactly what they've done there, but that is a red line after a red line after a red line. All of the red lines we were pretending that they were only pink. But the first red line had been called when we pulled out of Gaza in 2005. The government that said we're going to pull out of Gaza, but if one rocket is shot from Gaza, then we're going to come right back in and show them business. We didn't do that, and when 2 rockets, and when 100 rockets, when thousands of rockets have been fired, we did a few incursions, but it kept on happening until they pulled it much too hard, and we are going to eradicate them completely. And there is never going to be any kind of governing body in the Gaza Strip that can possibly allow such a terror group or any kind of terrorists to fester there. And it's going to be as safe to live on the Gaza Strip border as it is in Tel Aviv, as it is in Hebron, where I live, and as it is in Canada, where you live. We're not going to settle for any less. And of course, we always mention the other 2 goals of this law, of this war, which are to bring all of the hostages back. Today, there are about 120 hostages who are still in Gaza. Sadly, at least I think 60 of them have already been verified as dead, and so they are holding onto their bodies. It is just incredible that the whole world doesn't say stop, full stop, nothing. We're not talking about anything. You guys give back the hostages, and then we'll talk about having either fighting the war or having some sort of a ceasefire. But no, they don't say that at all. Yeah. Say stop, have a ceasefire because there are kids in Gaza that have to walk around from Rafiah to Gaza and Gaza to Rafiah because of the Hamas. Also, it's all because of Hamas. Very bad situation.
Yeah, it's a very bad situation. And you've answered my next question, I think, in theory, but I'm going to just reference it. From what you are saying, from what you just said about the Gaza Strip and about it becoming one of the safest places in the world and so on, there's been a lot of talk in the past about a 2-state solution. Is that even feasible after all of this?
It is not. It is not. First of all, the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, just passed a declaration. An absolute majority of the 120 members of the Knesset, I believe it was 69 against 9, they voted. A lot of people didn't show up. But they said, we will never have a 2-state solution. There will never be a state, certainly not an enemy state, between Israel and the Jordan Valley. And so I do believe that we are going to be applying sovereignty on that area at some point. I hope soon, maybe later, maybe sooner. The former American ambassador from the United States to Israel, David Friedman, just yesterday appeared. Was it yesterday? He appeared in the Knesset in a meeting, and he said, "Listen, what the Palestinians, the Arabs in Judea and Samaria, all of Judea and Samaria has to be annexed by Israel. It all has to be Israel. But the Palestinians there, they can be Israelis like Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico are Americans. They have total autonomy, but zero voting rights in the federal government." It was simple to him. He's a pretty hotshot lawyer. He was a very senior member of the State Department and a senior ambassador. And if as I often say, if all of the world would stop focusing on us so much, we could create such a solution, and everybody really would be happy. But the world is not going to be satisfied until Israel is destroyed. Again, I guess I didn't have my coffee this morning, but I don't think that. I think again that there are plenty of the world are seeing that the Abraham Accords is showing how many Arabs are also coming to their senses and saying we'd rather be friends than enemies. Yep. And at some point, I think that the horrific leadership of the Palestinians will also fall in Judea and Samaria. and more normal leadership will arise, and they will want to make peace with Israel. And I think that's what's going to happen. I happen to know, might have discussed it on a previous discussion with you, one of these potential leaders. He lives here in Hebron. I meet with him from time to time. I'm very proud of that because he also has met with President Trump, and also he's a good friend of Ambassador Friedman, who I mentioned before. So if people want there to be peace, again, you can either follow all of the liars on Twitter and say that Israel just wants to destroy all of the, make a genocide or something like that, but it's baloney, as we always reply to that. If we wanted to kill off everybody, then the war would be exactly a half an hour. We don't. We're trying to save as many people as we can, even those that we call the the word disappeared. They were guiltless, innocent bystanders. Many people think that there's no such thing. I don't think that everybody who does it, every Gazan who does not wear a Hamas uniform is not innocent. First of all, Hamas does not wear uniforms. And second of all, they voted in Hamas. It's a long story. We don't have a lot of time here. But I will just say that I hope that the Palestinians will come to their senses. They will be able to make true peace, which means we are living in peace, and we are putting down everybody is putting down their weapons, and we are just going to try to play nice together.
Yeah. Well, Gidon, thanks for being with us. I know you have to go soon, but a couple quick questions. First, what are some of the ways our viewers and listeners can help Israel and show support right now? What can people do?
Thank you very much. I think you ask me that question every time, and I always have the same answers. They are, first of all, to continue praying for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for Israel, pray for the hostages that they will be quickly freed. Pray for the IDF, both in general, the Israeli Defense Forces, that it quickly conclude the war in Gaza, and every soldier who is fighting will come out safely. So that is as far as prayer is concerned. There's many more prayers, but I want to get to the other thing. If anybody can come to Israel at any time, that is something to do. Even if in the summer it's a little bit hot, you can come anyway. We got nice air conditioning over here. So I highly recommend that people come to Israel, and that is the best thing that you can do for Israel. And I will also pat my own back. Root-source.com, as you can see, is the website that I have. We have there a list of campaigns that we are running that we would be very happy for you to donate to. I'm just now running a campaign about a soldier who was about to buy his apartment, but because of the war, his apartment all of a sudden cost about 100,000 shekels more. So we are running a campaign for people who would like to help him to complete and buy his apartment, and that's for an example. And mostly take my email. That's Gidon@root-source.com, and send me an email and ask me, Gidon, how can I help Israel? And I'll give you a personally personally exampled way that you can personally help Israel.
That's great, Gidon. Thank you so much, and we'll make sure that we get the website and information up on the screen as we close here. But great to have you with us again, and hopefully next time I see you, it'll be in Israel.
Amen. Shalom, shalom. Toda rabah. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. You can listen to this entire podcast on your favorite audio podcast platform. Find the link below. And while you're at it, don't forget to click subscribe and follow us on Facebook so you can stay connected to First Century Foundations.